The other interesting area is also the paying of taxes. Now we go online and we pay tax, from home for your computer. So I and millions of Malaysians and companies are enjoying this new way of paying taxes in Malaysia. So of course, the others, construction permits. We have about 140 to 150 local authorities. They used to have different forms, different format, and this is so confusing. Now we have standardized. Everybody's on the same page, one format, same documents, so everybody uses the same format throughout the country. So much so of some of the work done to facilitate business by the government, and to move forward in developing Malaysian economy, we are currently focusing on one area is manufacturing, the other area is services. For manufacturing, mainly we are targeting high technology and capital intensive and knowledge driven. And some of these are like energy, alternative energy. Malaysia is number 3 in terms of producing solar equipment, solar manufacturing. We have the top 3 world class companies such as First Solar and Qcell that are already in production in Malaysia. Biotechnology, advanced material, pharmaceuticals, medical devices, of course, and also lately the aerospace industry has been the favorite of a number of renowned companies to invest in Malaysia. Not to forget the resource-based industry, where food and non-food for halal products and services. Now, when I mention halal products and services, the allocation called Gambang Industrial Estates in the state of Pahang. The lady, standing right in front of you here, is representing the state of Pahang, and they are looking for investors. They have done feasibility studies. They have allocated about 200 acres of land for halal products manufacturing and services. For the services sectors, not only manufacturing, but we are also encouraging operational or regional headquarters for companies to do business and to take advantage of Malaysia's well-educated and well-trained English-speaking population. International procurement centers, regional distribution centers. Just to mention to you, in terms of incentive, once you are qualified as what they call operational headquarters and all these, the first 3, and you achieve certain target, there is already tax incentive waiting for you. And it is very, very generous. Of course, tourism, as I mentioned earlier, there are about 20 to 22 million visitors visiting Malaysia every year. And, we are blessed. There are a lot of interest in hotel, tourist projects, recreational camp, and convention centers. I will mention to you later some of these opportunities, and we have representatives from the Eastern Corridor to discuss specific projects that you can visit at the booth. Once you enter the room in the exhibition area, the first area is Eastern Corridor of Malaysia. Other areas, including environmental management, energy conservation and efficiency, generation of the renewable energy. In the middle of this year, we have actually launched and tabled the first reading in the Parliament, the bill for the green technology industry, particularly in the generation of renewable energy from biomass, solar, and other resources. And this will be the new areas of opportunities for investors to invest in this area. Of course, other areas are the business services in shared services, outsourcing. Malaysia is well known for it. We have multimedia super corridor in Kuala Lumpur, near Kuala Lumpur, research and development, and other areas. Education, I mentioned earlier, technical, vocational, and science training. We have now already 50,000 students from various countries studying in Malaysia in various disciplines. Healthcare, private hospitals, this is the area because there are a lot of people seeking treatment in Malaysia. You know, you compare with our neighbors, the nearest neighbor, if you do medical treatment in Malaysia, you could save, you know, at least 30 to 50% of your medical bill. So very competitive. You go on a holiday, you visit Malaysia, at the same time you do screening, and you know, if you need serious medical treatment, Malaysia is there for you to take advantage. Not only medical treatment, I mean, for people, but you know, investment in this area, where you know, taking advantage of the large arrival of tourists within the region. Just to share with you some numbers, in the region of 100,000 from GCC alone. From ASEAN, we have millions. Singapore alone, we have about 10 to 11 million visitors that go to Malaysia to do business and also to seek medical treatment, including medical treatment. Not all, you know, will go in. And to encourage tourism, you know, some of the facilities that are already in place, flights between this region and Malaysia, a total about 40, close to 40 flights a week in terms of frequency. And there are a lot of what we call the opportunities in the theme parks, convention centers, recreational, and also expansion, modernization of tourism projects in Malaysia. I mentioned earlier on private hospitals and healthcare. Now, Malaysia is also a home as a second country. You know, Malaysia, my second home program. We have launched this for many years, and it is you know, where foreigners can stay and live in Malaysia, holiday and buy properties and all that. You know, some of them are also doing business in Malaysia. So from the GCC, we have about 70 of them. And this facility is a multiple entry visa for 10 years, and it is renewable. After 10 years, you can renew. Now, over the years, we have positioned Malaysia as the strategic location, not only in Southeast Asia, but it connects to other economies. For Southeast Asia alone, we are in the middle of ASEAN, where AFTA or ASEAN Free Trade Area is already in place. Tariff is between 0 to 5%, and 97% of products traded between ASEAN is already, the tariff is between 0 to 5%. Combined GDP is well, this is in euros, 1 trillion. And the other interesting development that is coming up in 2015 is that ASEAN will become an ASEAN Economic Community, or AEC, where we have the free movement of talent, professionals. You can hire people from Thailand, from Singapore, from the Philippines, and other countries within the ASEAN region. So this is an exciting development, and we hope, you know, investors from this region will take advantage of this latest development. In other market, Malaysia also is connected through the Economic Partnership Agreement and Free Trade Agreements through ASEAN or bilateral arrangement. Through ASEAN, we have AFTA, we have ASEAN, China, Korea, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and India. Bilaterally, we have also signed agreement with Japan, Pakistan, New Zealand, Chile, and India. And under negotiation, a number of countries, EU, for example, is already starting TPP, Trans-Pacific Agreement. GCC, we have initiated and signed the framework agreement with the GCC countries. So all this connectivity and access from Malaysia for many investors that are investing in Malaysia. This is just another illustration for you. And I mentioned earlier, MIDA is a one-stop agency, approval of projects, incentive for manufacturing, license, incentive for services, and as well as the manufacturing industries. What we do in MIDA is we do promotion, we do issue license, we provide on behalf of the government tax incentive, import duty exemption, work permits, and many others in the regional establishments such as OHQ, IPC. Now, these are some of the points that mentioned or shared by our investors, why they have located in Malaysia. There are already about 5,000 international companies doing business in Malaysia. So, top of the what they call list is political and economic stability. In the last 50 years, we have gained independence. Since then, we have election every 5 years, and our economy is on average is growing at about 6 to 7% every year. Pro-business government, as illustrated by earlier on the Pemuda, the committee to facilitate business. Liberal investment policy, we allow 100% ownership, no restriction or repatriation of profit. Policies are transparent. You can see, in some of the brochures that we put on the table on our website. Infrastructure is well developed over the years since we gained independence. And educated workforce, English is widely spoken in Malaysia. It is a subject that is taught in school, so it is easy to understand. In addition to that, the Malay, the Chinese, and the Indian, they speak their what we call mother tongue language, so you can communicate with markets in India, Indonesia, and China. So in conclusion, Malaysia is a strategic partner in Asia for investors from the Middle East, in particular from UAE to profit. Now, I like to mention here some of the key projects that we have brought with us here. The Eastern Corridor Economic Region, the team will discuss some of the specific projects in tourism, oil and gas, manufacturing, agriculture, ICT, and education. There are at least 10 to 15 specific projects, and investment needed is in the region of about $400 million US. So please, they are available today and tomorrow at the booth. You are welcome, to discuss specific projects. So with that note, thank you very much. If there's more time, we can take some questions.
We're open.
Thank you very much, Mr. Azman Mahmood, for this excellent and most comprehensive presentation of investment opportunities in Malaysia. The word I'm getting is that Malaysia is not only open for business, but Malaysia means business. Certainly listening to the economic transformation program, this very ambitious program worth some $138 billion, means that there are a lot of opportunities to do business in Malaysia. Vast opportunities to invest in Malaysia in all kinds of sectors. We've been hearing I'm not going to enumerate all of them because it's quite, the list is quite long. But what I'm getting is that there is a vast choice of investment opportunities in the country, and we are lucky today to have representatives from MIDA. MIDA is a premier agency in the world in terms of promoting and facilitating investment, and I think it's really a good opportunity to liaise, to connect with the representatives who are here with us to be able to find out more about investment opportunities and actually concrete opportunities that you can get first-hand information from our colleagues from MIDA. So I would open the floor for a few questions, but the message I want to convey is that this is only a first step. This is only a first encounter. Because the real job is not done here. Here, just to connect, at the beginning. But the real job will be back home. Once you, go back to Malaysia, is to connect with you on the ground, and and also to be able to do follow-up activities and meetings. So the floor is open for any questions.
While waiting for the question, Barnabas. Tomorrow, there will be a more detailed presentation on the projects for the Eastern Corridor at 4 o'clock. So I hope you can make a lot more announcement to bring all the private equity and companies and investors.
Well, please put on your agendas tomorrow, 4 p.m. And there will be a meeting on the
presentation of projects.
It will be a presentation, concrete presentation of projects. So do you know the location?
It's going to be here.
Here, in the same room, so it's easy. So please remember, as I say, very important meeting tomorrow, 4 p.m., concrete presentation of projects in Malaysia.
Question.
Well, thank you very much for your participation. Thank you very much for the excellent presentation and all our best wishes. Coastline. Kenya abounds in infrastructure investment opportunities, particularly air and rail transport. Horticulture has an annual production worth more than $600 million and is one of the great success stories actually in recent years. The government has also ambitious plans to bolster the tourism sector, manufacturing, IT, and financial services sectors as well through foreign direct investment. The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development has published the investment guide to Kenya in 2005, and actually we are currently working for an update of that guide. So I would like now to call on Ms. Susan Kikwai, who is the Managing Director of the Kenyan Investment Authority, to present her country and her vision for how she sees the investment potential of Kenya. But I would like also to introduce Mr. Mutuku, who is the Director of Research, who is here with us. Ms. Kikwai, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Nusa. I'd like also to thank UNCTAD also, not just for the Kenya Investors Guide, but for the EAC Guide also that was done at the same time in 2005. And also, I think you had a popular version also which was translated to Chinese. They went very fast. I'd like to introduce Martin Mutuku, our General Manager in charge of Research, Policy Advocacy and Planning in the institution. As you've seen, policy advocacy is very, very important for us. And like other IPAs, we like to call ourselves the voice of the private sector in government. So he'll be here also to meet with you, have one-to-ones. He'll have brochures of certain projects that I will be showcasing at towards the end of the presentation. As you know, Kenya, we are very well placed in the Eastern Africa region. You will see that we're not just a member of the East Africa community, the 5 countries, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda, Burundi, but also that we have very strong links to the Eastern Africa region. And that's where we are. We like to say, come to Kenya, establish your base in our country, because if you look at the map of Africa, you will see that Kenya is really at the heart of things. It is the heartbeat of Africa. There it is. Naza has said it very well in that we have real competitiveness in terms of the region itself. In terms of who we are, these are just statistics. We are well placed in terms of people, about 40 million people with a domestic, gross domestic product of 29 billion. Agriculture still accounts for the largest part of that, which is 23%. And of the population that works or that depends on agriculture, that's 75%, which is quite high. And even more importantly is that 90% of these 75% are women. So Kenya also has got policies to ensure that women are mainstreamed in terms of entrepreneurship. This is followed by tourism at 16% and manufacturing at 13%. And these three sectors form the largest number of employment opportunities. Why Kenya? You've just heard that we are members of COMESA, the Common Market for Southern and Eastern Africa. And you would be looking at 400 million people once you're established in Kenya. Nairobi has been the regional business and air hub, and I'll be demonstrating that later. We have a fairly well-developed human resource within the region. We have distinctive culture, none other exists in the world. For instance, we have the highest number or the highest concentration of gold medalists in the world. Competitive strength, I must say that we won the Boston Marathon for the 21st year in a row. Let's clap for Kenya. Competitive strengths include the array of clusters that Nusa has said. We have also the advantages of logistics and a very, very strong entrepreneurial culture. So it doesn't matter what happens in Kenya, especially politically, the people are very entrepreneurial and they just keep going and going. There, we're looking at our very, very ambitious vision. We are calling this the Vision 2030. And what we want to do is to make Kenya a globally competitive and prosperous nation with a high quality of life by 2030. How do we do this? We started off actually in 2002. Between 2002 and 2007, we saw growth rates go from 0.05% to 7.1%. And that was through what we called economic recovery strategy for employment and wealth creation. Once we recovered, we said now we needed to take that a notch higher by having a vision. That vision is embedded in 3 pillars. The first pillar is the economic pillar, second one is the social pillar, and the third is a political pillar. The first pillar, which we are mainly dealing with, is the economic pillar. And here we want to maintain sustained economic growth rate of 10% per annum over the next now 20 years. In the social pillar, we have a just and cohesive society enjoying equitable social development in a clean and secure environment. And here we are emphasizing on education, health, and the environment and environmental projects. So this forum is quite in tune with what we are doing in Kenya. On the political pillar, we have an issue-based, people-centered, result-oriented, and accountable democratic political system. And again, we're very proud. Last year, we got a new constitution. Priority sectors, we went through a very, very intensive research, and these sectors have just been mentioned. The 6 sectors, and that is agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, financial, BPO, and retail sectors, wholesale retail. But there are other sectors which are quite important to us, like mining, right there. Biofuels, again, in greening projects. Petroleum, which we haven't quite explored, but we do know that we have those possibilities, especially in northwestern Kenya, just below South Sudan, because the mines or the oil wells in South Sudan are just across the border in Kenya. And all this is supported also by the requisite development of our infrastructure and human resources. Tourism. In tourism, we pride ourselves as having several endowments. And you know, we have the wildebeest migration. It's not very clear, but this is where every year the wildebeest come from Tanzania into Kenya, 250,000 of them, and go back between July and October. So we'd like you all to come and visit, particularly at that time. We have a pleasant climate, beautiful scenery, sportsmen and women that I mentioned earlier, and there are several opportunities here for accommodation, recreation, and entertainment. In agriculture, there are several opportunities. You've heard about $600 million investment in our fresh cut flowers. There are opportunities for pineapples, mangoes, and other fruits and things like honey. There's no honey like the honey from Kenya. Certified seeds as well, and there again we look for partnerships. Wholesale and retail, we're looking to have supply chains both in semi-formal and formal retail. So we'd like anybody here from United Arab Emirates or other countries that would like to put up supermarkets. It is really, really doing well, and especially now that we have a devolved government by way of counties. There'll be quite a bit of urbanization taking place in the 47 counties in Kenya. In manufacturing, we still have huge opportunities in cement, pharmaceutical, iron, and steel. ICT still remains very key to us. We have a wide range of business outsourcing services. There's still a lot of room for education and training, things like disaster recovery, and also we're developing a technopolis, which we're calling Konza Technology City. Here we have 5,000 acres that the government has bought, and we want to develop a brand new city. I'll be presenting that project a little bit later on. Financial services, again, Kenya remains the financial hub, not just for East Africa community, but for the larger Eastern Africa region. We are talking Ethiopia, South Sudan, Eastern DRC, in addition to our 5 countries. The other sectors, I think I mentioned earlier, geothermal, this is very key. We have about 10,000 megawatts worth of exploration. I think right now we are doing barely 300, so we have quite a bit to harness, and we welcome investors because this is a true green project. And of course, the other alternative sources, that's solar, wind, biofuels. Mining sector, we want to continue with exploration, mining, and value addition through joint ventures. We have an interesting project, actually, that is being done by women in one part of Kenya. And these are women who actually are mining gemstones. And I'm sure people in the GCC, in Eastern Asia, and what have you, would like to really wear those stones. So we are inviting joint ventures in that, and also in linking with our research universities by way of professors or research into mining. Building and construction is also very important to us, particularly in low-cost housing. We are 1 million houses short at the moment. In other words, You come in, you go into construction of houses, and they will be bought before you have even broken ground. And of course, we have also privatization of certain government assets. So all this will be supported by our infrastructure development and human resource development. Again, EAC, we have 126 million people. In terms of market access, so you come, set up your shop or your factory in Kenya, and you can access not just 126 million people in EAC, but the 400 million people in COMESA. You will have entry into the US through the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act program, where 6,400 items are eligible entry into the US through quota-free, duty-free arrangement. We have also exports to the EU are entitled trade preferences such as duty-free entry, industrial, and a wide range of agricultural products. In terms of guarantees to investors, Kenya subscribes to a number of things. And the first and foremost is that our new constitution, just like the old one, guarantees you against expropriation unless unless for public use or security, we would not nationalize your project. We repealed exchange controls in 1992. So again, we do not have exchange controls. So when you set up, just like Malaysia, you can repatriate all your profits, interests out of the country as long as you've paid the necessary taxes.